Hello and welcome to the show. Now, Quentin's no stranger to my show. He's back again, and now it's after the event. It was a big event. UMF 62, the fight night, Quentin. That's what we're going to talk about. I just remember coming in there that night. There was all this planning going on for weeks, and coming in there, and I know that I just flew in from Johannesburg or Durban, one of the two, and when I stood in your office at night looking down at all those people, I realized what a successful event it was. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, it was UMF 62. 62 means it's the 62 show we've had. And we actually haven't had one for a year and a half because due to me actually waiting to have a TV broadcaster, of course, thanks to Dean TV. And and I was quite nervous. So I did everything myself, made sure the right people was there, especially with the type of shows we're doing. It's not just a fight show. We had entertainment. And it's about bringing a night out where people can have fun with their family, with their loved ones, and seeing a show well presented. And as I said, Muay Thai is only one of the is the only ring sport in the world that has culture. So it's not just going there and kicking the hell out of each other.
That came across quite interestingly. I mean, I had some experience with Muay Thai and you guys before, but that came across very, very well that night. I had people there that were first-time crew with us and some family that was with me. And they were wondering what all these things were. They saw you walking up to the ring and you do this whole thing on there, and then they'd see the guy going and doing his whole thing, whatever they call it. And one came to realize that Muay Thai was not just the fight, jump in and fight kind of thing. Yeah. There were some things behind all of that. So tell us a bit about that aspect of Muay Thai itself.
Well, Muay Thai is over a couple of thousand years old. Originated in Thailand.
Man's always been fighting, yes.
Yeah, man was. And one of the famous guy who made Thailand what it is today is Quentin Chong. He beat 10 Burmese boxers in succession. That's how they claim land, and that's what gave the strength to the Thai people. And if you see in the ring, they wear a thing called the mongkon.
Yes.
It's like a headband. It's not a sweatband for tennis.
Yes.
And
it's not what the Arabs wear too.
And also the thing called the project, which is the armband. Now, back in the days, I mean, with Thailand coming from the Buddhist philosophy, and they pay for protection, and there's been a couple of examples where a guy, because normally the mongkong and the project must be above everything. So if you have your display, they normally put it above,
it's put it behind. Office, yes.
Yeah. And, for me, I always respect the art. For me, I'm not Buddhist or anything, but I believe in all religions to help and be good to people and to respect. And when I did it, you see some camps, if it's misplaced or anything, it happened before where this is bad omen. The guy didn't do it proper and then he died in the ring. So things like that, of course.
So there were actual incidences like that?
Yes. So Muay Thai was it is the most brutal ring sport standing up. But as an exercise sport, it's the best for using whole body workout, the 8 body limbs. But as a ring fight, you can't come in like done kickboxing, which a lot of the foreigners went to Thailand. And they came back crying blood, murder, we got killed. And the Chinese guys from Kung Fu, 10 best top Kung Fu guys went to Thailand, all got knocked out first round. And they're coming back with head blows and not waking up in a ring. It's because you're doing elbows. So then, as a sport, you should learn how to defend it. So if you're going to do Muay Thai to fight Muay Thai. Then again, coming back to the ritual, we have a dance called the Wai Khru. I think you saw Jared,
yes.
The Roth Rider. Yes. It was beautiful.
Yes. So some of them I noticed some are short and brief, and there's others that really go the whole way through. What's the difference there?
Well, because this was the Western Province Cape Trials, which of course we have a lot of also new fighters coming on board, which do Muay Thai, but they've never been taught the ritual and stuff, was coming from a kickboxing background. But the most important, you go to the 4 corners, which they call it the 4 windows of the world. You see, they did anti-clockwise. And they're going to the center. you do a Y, which is the 3 hands, which means also good luck. So I do it as a, and also people do it, they say it's to get the fighter's mind ready, to stretch them out.
It's kind of getting into the zone itself.
Yeah, getting into the zone. That's more important for me. So in the beginning, I said to the guys who haven't done it, or you want to keep it short and sweet, you go to the 4 corners. Normally we start where the sun rises, where the sun sets. You go anti-clockwise and you do the 3, or you just make a belief to yourself, psych yourself up on all 4 sides, look at your opponent, greet as respect. And then, as example, you saw Jared, he did his own Wai Khru, which respects to the camp. So normally, before every camp has a Wai Khru, so you know where that person, which gym he comes from.
And there's a specific song or tune that goes on there. Is that the same one for the last couple hundred years, whatever it was?
Yes, it's the same.
So it's the same tune?
Yes, but the fortunate side, we have it on DVD, or we can play
but in the past it was really played out, yeah.
Now in Thailand, everywhere it's live. It's a live band.
So they're actually playing that
out.
It's
a live band. If you go to the World Champs, everywhere they take a live band. They have all the fight nights that had in Thailand. There's no DVDs. It's all live, but that's a tradition.
That's interesting. Now, we saw a lot happening that night. We saw some of the kids coming through. I was quite surprised that they were really pushing it out there. And we saw sort of the middle-aged, middleweight kind of guys. And then at the end, we saw like the really heavy ones with some real action going on there in the back. Starting with the younger ones, how do they take to these types of events and competitions going on?
Well, for the younger kids, it's such a, how can I say, not having it for a year, now you sit back and it's what I look forward to. It's like we look at sport, how we grow the youth. And the 9 boys that fought from our Dragon Power Muay Thai Foundation is from our kids' foundation. And we fought all the other gyms which had many fights. And I mean, they came out there with Muay Thai, dominated. But the nice thing for me is to see how they've grown up since I've been working with this for the last 6 years with these kids. And how they kept up and becoming champions, not just for champion for the ring, but for life. And that is what a lot of my friends said. They said, geez, Quentin, there's 12-year-olds. How good are these kids? I can't believe it. And I was like, wow, I've done my job. And seeing the other camps and how hungry the sports become, and it's giving a chance to everyone. Then growing up, of course, to the senior guys, and of course we had a junior lady, a girl also fought. Yes. So that's nice because I talk about women power, and if you look around the world and you go to the world champs, I tell you the best fights to watch is the woman. And of course, in the past, I took 5. At one time, we took 5 women for the national team of South Africa, and we came back with 1 bronze and 2 silver medalists in the world, and they only had 2 fights locally here.
Correct, yes.
So it shows you the type of women that we as human beings have, and hopefully nurtured properly, we can give them the talent and another drive forward for their vision.
Yeah, sure. If you're looking at the event that particular night, I note that, and I'm not saying this without, or rather with any disrespect to any of the teams, but my analysis, my critical analysis, standing above and watching the event from the top, I noticed something important, and that was you were the red team. And up till today, I didn't know who the blue team was. I don't know who they are, but I know your guys was the red team. And I'm not saying this to promote your team at all, because I need to just take the middle of the road on this one. But I noticed something interesting. There was a dynamic in the ring. And myself, as someone that's not involved with sports, I was able to see this from an outward perspective. And what I saw is that your guys were onto the other guys. They were like pushing the other guys against the, what they call this thing? Against the ring, yes.
The rope, yeah.
Yeah, against the rope. So what happens is you see the guys in the red moving, and the guys moving forward, and the guys with blue sort of fending your guys off all the time. So I saw that dynamic happening all the time. I discussed that with somebody, and one of his students that came to visit me yesterday, and I said, this is what I saw, is that what really happens? And they said, no, this is how Quentin trained. I said, X, Y, Z kind of thing. So what is it different about you and your training that you guys look much more aggressive? Sorry to put it to you that way, that's why I see it.
Well, I've never done kickboxing. or K1. I come from Muay Thai, and from a Kung Fu base, but of course Muay Thai, being part on the board, knowing the rules and traveling around the world, see what is the top guys in Thailand, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, China, what is the best countries are doing at the moment. And when I teach for what is world class. And a lot of the guys that we got, which was nice, they do Muay Thai, but they come from a kickboxing base, which I find a lot of K1. And I said it to them in a brief, and I'm sure I showed you the picture where I always brief everyone. I said, when you do Muay Thai rules, you got to push, especially in amateur. You got to keep gunning, you got to work the whole time, and we do a lot of clinch work. It's because Muay Thai is 8 limbs. When you score, if you're doing boxing, you should knock the guy out in a second. Not like where you're doing kickboxing, you block, and it looks very good, and you're throwing an X amount of punches. It has to land. The kicks, the knees, which I think you saw the advantage that we had of. And this is where it's nice. You look at this is where the other people now come on board. It's going to learn, because they were very tough, you saw. I mean, it wasn't easy for my team. So this is where the sport evolves, and now getting away from all the politics. Unfortunately, that's the thing that people always get jealous, who does what. For me, it's just to promote the art. It's not about me. And if I can do it now and give the best to the country, like I said, we're having our national champions in July the 18th. This is what leads up to, and we want to choose the best team for South Africa. And hopefully when we get Olympic recognition, that's going to be my vision and dream, to be able to be part of that.
Now we also saw, and again my view and my uneducated view when it comes to Muay Thai, I saw something else that was happening there. There was a match that didn't kind of go. There was a guy that was on a very high level from your side, and there's this guy Yasin. I'm not sure where he probably puts a lot of work into what he does, but the match wasn't correct, because, in my view, because your guys seem to have been some level of champion.
Yeah.
How does all of that happen? Because he got injured there very easily, and yes, he might be a good guy in the future to come, and he might be wherever he needs to be. So without any disrespect to him, but that one didn't feel like it was matched that well to me. What's your thoughts about that?
Well, that was Yusuf that's been training with us.
Yes.
He's been in the game for over 5 years.
Yeah.
And Akona is one of our development boys that came up from the young to being an adult now.
But he was very robust.
And he's not bad. He's like, again, like I said, my training is to keep the guys hard. The guys don't train, they don't fight. Twice a day, if they can, 5-6 times a week, because otherwise the safety is number one. Better a person's prepared, the better your entertainment's going to be, but also the level of protection is going to be easier. I'm not scared of the fighters, I'm scared of the parents.
Yes.
And coming back to that fight, Akona is one of our guys that, now he's got work, and so nice coming from his first job, he applied, got it at 12 Apostles. And now working and trying to put the fighting, learning about lifestyle. And he never sort of performs the way we want him in training. And of course, they all train together. And the 2 fighters are from my camp, but 2 of the other guys pulled out. So of course, we put an exhibition match together. And we knew
that's where that happened.
That's what had to happen. And they were same weight. And I said, and I think Yusuf had a good chance. But again, it was your first time fight. But I said to them, if the fight goes to all the distance, we'll call it a draw.
Yes.
But of course, if it doesn't, a different story. And Akona came in there world class. I'll put him against any top fighter, the way he fought. But again, this is where I said my job is, we are in a world of Facebook and YouTube. Everybody wants to be superstars. But they forget, when you do good, the work only starts. So that fight, like I said, also the game plan, fighting a taller person, Yusuf should have stepped back.
Yes.
Chopped his legs a bit more first, then going for full grapple.
So that would have been your advice to Yusuf?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I actually did tell him that.
Yes.
Move away, chop his legs, let him extend his hands. Because I know, and I love to tell my people, before they used to fight each other, because it's the same, you're fighting for the same organization or ranking. Then fighting someone that you can beat or might not have the experience, and then you think, oh, you got it all waxed.
Yes.
In life, for me, it's not easy. Rather have a hard fight first now, then you not say fight easier, then you understand the game. You know, like you saw some fights on the weekend in other leagues in MMA. Someone said, oh, well, the guy broke his nose and shame this. You're coming to fight. This is not a no disrespect to rugby, but when you're doing a contact sport, that's the objective, is to outbeat your opponent in any way as you can to win.
100%. Now, we also see some other dynamics going in as we go to the end of the games there. There's this tool that comes along, and after a while I'm sitting up there and I'm thinking, and I'm the guy that had to go out and put their medals on, and I thought to myself, I'm going to look really small against them, but that's fine. But what we saw happening there was, after the match, the ropes were kind of drooping down because it was stretched a bit. These guys really went, like, if I had to stand on the side, I thought I was watching wrestling or something.
Yeah.
They were a bit hectic. Is that also normal with Muay Thai, that there are certain people with certain weights, and that's how it normally goes in that category?
Well, in that category of we call it super heavyweight, over 91 kilos.
Okay.
I mean, that does happen.
And that's heavy for Muay Thai, is it?
No, not really. I mean, if you go to Russia, I mean, you got some big boys, Belarus, Ukraine, Yugoslav, you got some, I mean, but of course, and that part was quite interesting because my guy was his first fight, and the other gentleman has had many fights. And luckily, my guy won the fight. But like I said, when you come into a game with me, there must be a game plan. But when we train, we try and beat in every angles. I mean, if you go into a proposal, you hopefully, if you're going to get it, you're going to make sure if something goes wrong, you have 2 steps forward, 2 steps behind to go 4 steps forward.
Yes.
And that's why I had to keep my guys at a certain level. And I know with the grappling, my guys are quite strong because we train there quite often, part of Muay Thai. And that's when you saw the guys getting thrown out the ring, and and of course we saw how all the years we've had that ring, and of course we saw how those days how they sold us a ring with the clamps. Yes. Now we know we have to put shackles on.
Yes, correct.
So everything in life we always learn. So that was quite hectic. I mean, I got back, I thought, oh no, there goes the ring, all bent.
Yeah, we saw that happening. Now the crowd looked very pleased at what was going on, and they seem to be big fans of what you're doing and how you do it. And we picked up some comments from people that they were very happy and that sort of thing. So I know that number 63 is on its way soon. Tell us about the future plans. I mean, you've got to take this all the time to the next level. And every time you do something, I know that there's a bunch of people, including the public, that sits by and it needs to get better and better and better. That's the nature of entertainment. What's your plans there?
Well, for the next one is the Nationals, which is July the 18th. And that is going to be, I mean, it's always exciting because you got guys from KwaZulu-Natal, strong boys. You got from Johannesburg. But now you got, like I said, it's a whole new demographics. A year ago now, there's gyms opening up everywhere. And it's good, you know, and every day, if you look at one of the top MMA fighters in the country now, he come from our stable, from Johannesburg, fighting the amateur, pro-amateur, and professional, and wanting a proper Muay Thai belt. Because we're the only circuit that do full Muay Thai, not kickboxing. And so this is the level that's attracted everyone. I mean, the last guy that lost to my heavyweight, he called me up, couldn't thank me every time for giving him a chance to be on the staging. So we've got the hype, and then the next one will be in October, which is the UMA fight, where we set up fights. We phone a camp up or another gym elsewhere. Do you have a guy in a 71 kilo category? Do you have this one? Do we have that one?
Yes.
So this is an amateur gearing up for the World Cup in Thailand. It's the first time in 4 years back in Thailand by the royal family. That's on the 13th of August to the 22nd of August. I mean, already if you look at the international body, they're posting, it's like the biggest fighter entry they've had. And I mean, it's huge overseas. So, but like I said, we keep it constant, and hopefully, and then again one in December. So that's our 3 we have for the year.
So that's the lineup for this year.
And then every year, hopefully every 2 months. But we'll take it to different venues. And if it all works out, and of course, you know, it comes to sponsorship, which I mean, now we've got Dean TV, so whoever's out there, you know, that want to see the brand. And I think the better sponsorship, I mean, we've got a to me, it's going to be one of the best venues. I can't mention too much, which of course I'm going to tell you later. Yes. And then we'll take it to the next level. And of course with social media, Africa's on the map. So after the show, I get every other fighters from all around the world calling me up. But then on the other fights, we have international fights of sponsors coming. We'll bring a Thai down to challenge South Africa for the Muay Thai Against Drugs Foundation belt, or for the WMC professional title belt, or for the South African vacant title belt, or the current title holder. So this is how we're going to build up and back. But like I said, we're not reinventing what we're having. We're just making it better.
Now, of course, it's always reworking that to make it better. Now, on a last subject, we spoke about this before we started, or just when we started, and those youngsters that we saw coming through, there are some parents watching the show, and they're probably getting some of those visuals on screen now with those youngsters. Most parents would sit back and like, am I going to send my kid to get beaten up there, kind of thing. What's your advice to them why they should be getting their kids involved at a small age? It's not about getting beaten up. What's it about?
Well, if you look in Thailand, that's where I've been doing the schooling, is you look at the kids at the age of 7 or 8. They fight to put bread and butter on the table. Like we go to a carnival, they go to carnival in the back, and then all these kids who wants to fight, they run into the ring. And even normal people, they match them weight, height, and size. And when they fight, win or lose, and people give donations. So they'll go to the head of the board of the person doing this whole charity event, and they'll put money in their mouth. And it becomes such not just entertainment, that you see these kids control. When they get older, I've seen, it really helps them in their lives.
So it's a discipline issue.
It's a discipline. It teaches them that, that other people are not just aggressive, that everybody needs to work to a goal, and people are not there using it just for fighting, but using it as a lifestyle. I mean, you saw the first fight we had was Ziad.
Yes, correct.
He's a Muslim boy, which he came number 2 in the world last year in Malaysia.
That's amazing. Somebody all the way from Cape Town.
And imagine the parents, not talking about, I've trained many families, and especially Muslim families. I'll get to the airport and I'll go, look after my kid, and they'll whisper in my ear. They go, yeah, you know what's going to happen. I'll kill you if anything happens to my son. And I go, oh, okay, fine, thank you. We'll see you when we come back. And this is the role that I take on, because I never it's about the training. The training is good. And a beautiful story about each one. This is why I talk about, sports become not just about a sport. It's about people's vision and heart. Ziad's lost 2 fights, okay? And he went to the world champs and he came number 2, and he lost that fight. So he has never had a win, because all the boys were always bigger and heavier than him. So he had the first fight against a boy that was his weight and that has many fights too.
So the match was on par there?
Was on par, and he came into the first. This is where it's also beautiful, about people's ways. Like, if I can tell you many, I'm sure it'll be another time. But on that fight night, Ziad came into the corner and he said to me, Sivu, I'm losing. And I just smacked him on the head, and luckily my
So he came to you in that time?
He said, oh, I'm losing and I just smacked him on the head. And my guy that is with me in the corner, he also has a very successful business. That's why they used the Muay Thai. I want to see my students become big. And he took gold in the world champs, and round 4. And he started shouting at him the same thing. So I don't feel bad.
But you remind me about something now, and that was, back in the time or the generation that you and I come from, I think there's a bit of an age disparity, but that generation was it's like that old story when the teacher hits you at school and you go home and tell your parents, and then they'll ask you, what did you do wrong? And they phone the teacher, and then when you come back home, you get another hiding. So Ziad comes up to you, wanting some solace, and you're like, you're the man kind of thing. Give him a slap, get back in there and do it.
Yeah, I said, dude, you're winning your fight. You're winning on points now. What you doing? Just stick to the plan. Do it. Don't worry about it. And this is the thing about when we start nurturing youth in all sports, is that because of Facebook and YouTube's out there, they're hearing to everyone. They wanted to be, because he got into his mountain biking with his dad, and she comes back with bruises, fell on his head, went to hospital. I didn't want to go and see him. And now after that win, what Spirit has done for him, I said, Ziad, you earned this, and life is not easy. And that's what I'm saying. If you want to come into the fight game, you're talented. And the mother, of course, calls me all the time, and he said, you don't know what it's changed for his spirit. And then I know I've done my job. And like I said, anyone that enters the ring, win or lose, you're a winner. And this is what today's world we look at, taking it, and when you make the mistake, how do you come back and push more?
It's the old rule of sportsmanship, and I think that's something that you're trying to put into your
And
youngsters.
business. I mean, how did we all living here? It's because of war times, the warrior. The warrior that came back, that didn't look for money, how to protect the village, to be good for the people, keep them on their line, and to think of just growing what is there. And that is it, to get UMF out there, you know, onto a bigger scale again. You know, like I said, thanks to Dean TV. You know, especially we, very African. And I think this is something that, you know, I'm born in Botswana, funny enough, raised all my life in South Africa, been through apartheid, and one thing for me, kids are the future. But when we look at kids, my youngsters push my adult people, my older fighters, even harder. This is the funniest thing. Like MP3, you saw him fight, he's world class. We've done a documentary, which I'm sure we'll have an interview on that. He came number 3 times, third try, came number 3 in the world in Malaysia. And now he fights, he's just on a totally different level. People said, wow, they just want to take him home. But then on the other hand said, when he starts, there's more to do. You know, and this is what I say to people. And hopefully UMF 63 is going to be another kicker, well, more organized than before, as always. You know, nice entertainment. And of course, it's about the fights and about the people.
Great. Quentin, thank you for joining me. We'll continue our partnership with you. I think that went well. So we, as Dean TV, we thank you for bringing us on board and letting us be part of that development as it goes along. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Quentin Chong, and we've got a bit of the breakdown of that night, and you've got some visuals that you've seen of that night. That show is coming soon on Dean TV, so watch out for that. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.